Once you've installed a photovoltaic system, it's important that you carry out a range of tests to make sure that everything is absolutely safe, because, as you know, PV is DC, and DC inside a building can cause all sorts of problems unless it is put in very, very carefully. What we've got here is a rig that we've made up just for testing and to explain to people how the system works. We've got a main isolator up here, which is really for our use, and the instructors would use that to isolate the whole of the system. The PV isolator that we use for training is here, and we've got a little plate there with our connections that we can use to take different values of readings. The first test we're going to do is an insulation resistance test. So our panels are outside, everything's fully operational, but of course, and it's going to be operational because you can't isolate a PV panel once it's exposed to sunlight. The only way you can do it is disconnect it. And of course, if you're going back after a period of time to carry out a test, it's not particularly practical to get onto a roof and start trying to mess around disconnecting PV panels. So it's quite safe providing you follow the right procedures. What you would normally do is turn off the isolator and remove the cover and just use probes. But for us, we can do it by using this isolator here and these contacts. So the first thing I do is I turn off the isolator so the whole thing is completely dead. Then I use two leads which I've got and join them together. Now, of course, what you could do is you could use a probe and test your line and your negative conductor separately. This just saves me a little bit of time. Insulation resistance, so the instrument's set to insulation resistance. I connect one probe to a known earth and the other probe to the contacts that are joined together. When I turn this on, of course, what I've done is created a short circuit at the PV panels, but that's going to do no harm because they can't generate more than they're made to generate. I'll now take a value of resistance, insulation resistance between this contact and the known earth, push the button, and you can see that I've got a reasonably high reading there. It's 200 megohms and creeping up, and it will continue to creep up until it reaches a very high level. So at this point, we know that that's quite a safe installation as far as insulation values goes. Important to remember before I touch anything at all, turn off the isolator, and then at that point, I can disconnect all of my connections. Of course, we've made life easier for ourselves to carry out these tests by inserting these test points, but under site conditions, that wouldn't be available. So all you would do is you would turn off the main isolator, disconnect the two DC cables from the inverter, and you would have a male and a female plug and socket with bare ends. You join them into the disconnected leads, twist the ends together, connect your instrument, and then turn on the isolator and carry out your readings that way.